Welcome back to Drola's Garage. It's time to start working on the Safari. I've been putting this off. I've just kind of been working on other things, and my focus really needs to be on this right now. I have a lot of money tied up in these two cars. I need to get this moving along. So let me show you guys what I'm gonna do. So the first thing I'm gonna do is remove that bumper. I'm gonna take the bumper off. I'm probably gonna use this bumper on the other car. And I broke the tag light, but I bought another set of tag lights, so I'm not worried about that. I'll probably end up using that bumper. I think it'll look cool, probably even in the same color, as well as the deck lid. I'm going to put the deck lid on as you see it and see what happens as far as the different colors. Let me see how it looks. Then I'm gonna pull the engine out of this thing, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this engine in the other car. Since this is a Euro engine, it's whatever, 930/10 or 910, whatever it is, the model designation for the Euro engine. And this engine does run very strong. The other one runs well, full stock, you know, whatever it is, 180 horsepower, but this is a Euro engine, much peppier, just a better engine overall. So I'm gonna pull this engine out and the transmission. My idea is probably just to go ahead and do a valve adjustment, any kind of little leaks or whatever it might have, and go ahead and slap it onto the other car. Once that's out, it's going to free up a lot of space underneath to go ahead and start tearing down the suspension, both front and rear. I could technically start tearing the suspension in the front down, but I don't want to do that yet because there's going to be too much weight in the back. So I'm going to get some weight out of the back, and then I'll go ahead and start. Once I get that engine out, this project should move along fairly quickly. The idea being disconnect the shocks, disconnect everything, leave the control arms and the spring plates attached in the back, measure their angles in respect to the angle on the sill, on the door sills, and go ahead and just put the other one together the same way. So it should be fairly quick. I don't really see any complications here. At least that's the hope. So like I mentioned before, the idea is release these bolts here to separate the spring plate from the banana arm. The banana arm will stay in place. I don't need to remove that, but I do need the spring plate to just rest free. So what I'm also going to do is disconnect the shock down there or up above. I'll probably just do it from here. And then with this little guy here, I can measure the angle, right? And then what I'll do is put it here and get the difference between the two. And that way I know that when I put it together on the other car, I basically put the spring plate at the same angle as it was on this car to get more or less the right height. Now, I think this car does have upgraded torsion bars, so it might droop a little bit, once it's all loaded up and put the weight on it. But anyway, at least I'll have a baseline. I can always readjust it with these two guys here. And what I'll do is I'll set it up when I index the torsion bar, I'll set it up in a way where I'll still have some adjustment with these two bolts. That's the idea, at least. Here's where I'm at. I basically disconnected those two bolts and these two bolts. These are the ones that set up your caster and your at least your camber and whatever else on the rear suspension for the alignment. So now this spring plate is in its natural resting position. So I'm going to take the measurement here. Actually, I can do that right now. And let's see where it's at. What is that, like 30? Like 30. No. 32. Let me see with the phone dead on it. Like 31. Okay. 31 degrees. Now, I will put this same guy here. And that is like at -1 degrees. So 31 minus -1 is 32. So in the other car, what I need to do is set the spring plate at 32 degrees difference between here and here. And it should give me the same angle, which would give me the same ride height, give or take. At least that's the hope. Okay, on this side, it's a little darker. I don't have light. So let's see. That looks to be at about 29. And this one is at about -1. So that's 30. It's a difference of 30. On this side, I did not disconnect the spring plate. So I want to see, is it really necessary to disconnect the spring plate on the other car? And from what I'm seeing, it's probably not. The difference is minimal. Like I said, the other one, I think the difference was 32. And this one is right at 30. And at -1, give or take, looks like. Which means the difference is about 1 degrees. So I think I'm gonna leave it. On the other car, when I put it together, I am not going to disconnect this. I'm gonna see how that comes out and hope for the best. If not, I can always disconnect it. I already know baseline 32 degrees between here and here. I pulled out the shock. It's a pretty long shock. It's a KYB gas adjust. So it's pretty long. All right, now I need to pull the shock off of the top here, back here. Since I already got this one out, I need to get that one out from back there. Pull the shock out. And I think that might be all I gotta do on here. Then I have to go to the other car and disassemble that one as well. All right, so I got both shocks out. Like I said, I'm gonna leave this one like that. And I'm going to leave this one like that. I'm gonna go to the other car. But first time, actually, I'm gonna take apart the front suspension. Before I even get to the other car, I gotta get that car up on the lift. I gotta move all of these cars. So I'm gonna do that in one shot. For now, let me finish with this. Moving to the front strut assembly. I see, I'm thinking, okay, I gotta remove the strut. I need to undo the brake line. So if I need to undo the brake line, that means I need to drain the brake fluid. I don't think the other car has stainless lines, so I might as well take these lines. So I might as well disconnect it from here instead of here, right? Well, that poses another question. Why not just use the rotors and and the calipers from this one and just basically, because all of this is attached to the spindle on the strut. So if I remove the strut and I undo the pin down here and I undo this, that whole assembly is going to come out. So why not just take it out and bolt it right onto the other car as it sits, right? And then I can measure the natural angle of the control arm and do the same thing on the other car. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I know the brakes and everything on the other car work fine, but so do these. These actually look like they've been rebuilt. So the other side looks newish, like this one does as well. And they work fine. These rotors are good. They have some surface corrosion on them and nothing that won't come off after a little bit of driving. And I think that's going to be the best way. Just take the whole strut assembly, take the whole thing out in one shot. Also up here, I have the monoball, which the strut housing, whatever you want to call that, the strut mount. So I'm going to transfer that over. So basically, I can just undo the 3 bolts and just take the whole thing out. There we go, working smart. Another thing I noticed is I'm going to have to use these tie rod ends because I don't think the other one is going to have the thing to fit this, the strut. So what I was thinking of doing is just disconnecting the thing from the center there, because these are probably turbo tie rods. I need to look, but they're probably turbo tie rods. So I might as well just swap them over to the other car as they are. That way I don't have to, the less I mess with, the better. All right, I got the ball joint disconnected. So basically this strut is held on by nothing more than the top there. So I'll get to that. I disconnected the toe. What do you call that? The toe link. Not the toe link. The tie rod end. Yeah, that's what I did. And what else? And also the brake caliper. I disconnected it from here. So this side is ready to come down. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same. I took the sway bar out as well. I thought it was bent, but it looks pretty straight to me. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, maybe that side looks, I don't know, whatever. It looks a little bent. I don't need it though. So this side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the pin out from here. I'm going to disconnect the caliper from there and drop it. And then that's it. And then I have to measure this angle here. The bottom of the car is crooked. I don't know if you can see the gas tank. Everything is kind of tilted to this side. So I have to try to find a flat surface, more or less level, not flat, level, so I can take a difference in reading between this and that. I guess I could use the what do you call this? The thrust, not the thrust, the cross member. That's what it is. The cross member. Measure here and here. That's probably the best bet. That's what I'm gonna do, because then that doesn't really matter then if this is shifted or not shifted. This is resting in a natural position. So whatever the angle is between here and here is what it's gonna be. I can always fine tune it with this little guy right there in the future, but that's what I'm gonna do. And then I'll also see if this side is more or less the same. This side is all tweaked. I think the control arm is straight because the whole thing got pushed back. I don't think the control arm itself is bent or damaged. But I don't know. I don't know if any measurement I'm gonna get from this side is gonna be very good. I got all the suspension out, the shocks, the struts. And like I said, I thought the easiest thing was just to pull the whole thing out in one shot, one assembly, and I think that worked out very well. I got those are turbo tie rods. So that's it. Now I need to get over here and measure this. Let's take a look and see what we come up with here. So now that I got that far on this one, I started moving cars around. I got the 912 over here. I'm going to go ahead and put the quartz gray. I call it, it's kind of brown, but anyway, look who hasn't made an appearance today. She's been lazy today. Today's been a no bones day, doggy. Poor no bones. He died recently. Very sad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. Bones or no bones day. So I made I wouldn't say a mistake because it's not a mistake yet. This bolt here had some tension on it, as did this one. So I loosened it now. Now you can see there's a gap there. So now this one is actually truly on its natural resting place. So let's try this again. Let's see what we get. We're at 24, 25. And then here, we're at 0 or maybe even 1. So 25 and 1 would be 24 degrees. This side, let's see here. We're like at about 27, and here we're also at 1. So this side is 26, but this is bent. So I'm gonna go by this one, where we got 25 and minus 1. So total of 26 degrees between cross member and control arm. So that's going to wrap it up for today on the Safari project. I've made some progress. I'm pretty happy about that. You know, I got all the suspension out, or at least the suspension that I want to remove from the car has already been removed. So now it's a question of attacking that one. I need to, first things first, I need to remove the wheels and start getting at it. So I am happy about that. I've been kind of putting this project off, and I really do need to move it along because it's been too long. I got way too much money tied up in these two cars. So I need to move it along. I get a little overwhelmed, I'll be honest. I'll get a little overwhelmed sometimes. I'm like, man, there's so many different things, like little things that need to be done, like the bumpers and the thing and the roll bar and and the lights, I gotta wire the lights, and the pod, I gotta get the pod for the lights on the bonnet. I gotta figure out a skid plate situation. I gotta get the AC working. It's just so many things. It kind of gets a little overwhelming, but the only thing I can do is just power through it. But first things first, gotta attack it. So that's what I did today. I'm happy about it. Made some decent progress. I am going to have to take the spring plates off the other car. I was hoping I wouldn't, but I'm going to have to because I need to pull them out to re-index them. These I didn't need to re-index because they've already been indexed. So I need to get to the other car and basically completely tear apart the rear suspension. But that's how it goes. Next video will be on that car. I need to start getting at it. Install the suspension. See what happens. Hopefully it all goes well. It's gonna look cool, jacked up with big tires. So that's gonna do it. I got someone over here bugging me. Right, Pig? Psst. She's like, hey, buddy, let's go. It's dark outside. It's time to go home. And she's right. Look at that. Oh, now you look at me, huh? Yeah. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all the usual stuff at Drolla, Instagram, Drolla964. I'm gonna get moving on this. I need to get this done, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Look at this. You know what she's saying? Let's get out of here. We're taking the Boxster home today. It's nice out, put the top down, cruise.